So as we have some of the details on the screen, the judge has is also talking about the holy scriptures that are being cited. The petitioner says that the government cannot dictate here, the state cannot dictate what someone with who wants to follow the religion and religious practices. The question would be whether the headscarf or the full body veil is essential to Islam or not. That is also going to be discussed. The judge right now, while the discussion is on about what precisely is the fundamental right to speech and the practicing of religion, and does the headscarf or the veil come into it, and can uniform then be opened up to that aspect. Very unfortunate scenes also to a level, remember, because these are students. Examinations are coming up across several educational institutions in Karnataka, while two sections of students, one, the girls who are asking now suddenly that they want to don the hijab and the burqa into the schools, that the school administration is not permitting, and the girls are asking there is no rule that bars them from specifically wearing that headscarf, while on the other now male students donning the saffron shawl and the saffron scarf are saying they will also then wear the same into their school. So of course, as you can see, police personnel are being deployed right at the gate and trying to keep students at bay. So what has led to this extremely communally polarized situation across educational institutions in Karnataka? And school authorities, as you can see, teachers are requesting that the students do come inside their schools and attend the classes, which is now just examinations are just about a few weeks away. But as of now, several classes had to be suspended across different colleges in Karnataka. So the latest right now is we are trying to get you an update because the protests that are erupting, one at the Mahatma Gandhi Memorial College in Udupi in Karnataka. There are other colleges as well, and mainly this is happening between two sections of students. The hijab row that I can tell you, the Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai of Karnataka has already said that there is a mandatory uniform, and that is being followed across schools and colleges, irrespective of religious identities, primarily to ensure everyone is treated equally. But as you can see here on your screens, the situation appears to be going out of control, where on one side the female students are not relenting and they want and are demanding to be allowed into their colleges with the full body veil, and some schools and some colleges where the girls are saying at least the headscarf be permitted. For now, the hearing that has started is where the judge is talking about whether hijab or whether the scarf is an essential practice of Islam, because if it is, then perhaps there would be a different order that would come. As whether it is an essential practice, whether it is a cultural norm, that is also going to be put forth. Take a look on your screen. There are different windows. We're trying to show what is happening in our southern state of Karnataka. Akshita Nandgopal has been tracking all the latest on that. Akshita, hearing that is on is precisely the petitioner stating and claiming that this is a part of their religion. How do you think this is really panning out? It's unfortunate to see how, you know, the communal situation has panned out in the state, and both sides refusing to relent.
That's right, Pooja, and that's why this hearing in the Karnataka High Court right now is so crucial. As you mentioned, the hearing is underway, and it's coming down to one issue right now. If you look at the observations from the judge as well, about whether wearing the hijab is a mandatory religious practice or not. The petitioner in this particular case and the lawyer representing the petitioner has made an argument saying that the hijab is an essential practice and that the state cannot pass orders with regards to Quranic injunctions, saying that that is the state overreaching them. Now, it's based on that the judge is seeking clarity, which is why he's also sought a copy of the Quran in court. Besides that, he's also asked details about whether Quranic injunctions are essential religious practices or only if some are and some aren't. In which case, is hijab an essential practice or is it optional? It's based on that essentially that the judge is trying to seek clarity on whether the state is overreaching with the government order saying that uniform code must be followed, or whether they're right in their power, they're following the jurisdiction to go ahead and pass that kind of an order. Now, besides that, what you're also seeing is that the petitioner here is arguing, saying what constitutes an essential practice has to be determined on religious beliefs alone and not based on secular notions. And that's an important point, because you've got the petitioner here time and again saying that it comes down to one point.
Yes.
It's an essential practice that students must be allowed.
And
this is a
what the
religious
judge
right.
eventually decides, Akshita, could be very crucial in how it will play out possibly across the country. But do tell us if what you're picking up from the ground, because from what we saw, the images that had come out, the college authorities, the pre-university college, were actually saying that everyone appeared to be following the uniform just about till the last month of November in December 2021. Suddenly it appeared that the group of girls now wanted to don the full body veil or the headscarf and demanded to be entered into the college, and that is when the situation has since turned out of control. So how is the administration, or specifically the college authorities, are managing? I can see police deployed in several of these colleges right now.
So the college that we're referring to, which we've been reporting from early in the morning, the Mahatma Gandhi Memorial College in Udupi, that's now been shut down. Holidays have been declared till further notice by the administration, simply because things went out of control. But it's not limited to one college alone, Pooja. You know, this is fanned across Karnataka. There are protests, counter-protests that are broken out now across Karnataka, which is why the focus is on the Karnataka High Court, because the government so far has maintained that they're sticking to their guns. They're sticking to their stand that, you know, we can't allow hijabs, we can't allow saffron shawls either. There is clearly a uniform code that must be followed. And they've also said very clearly that our next step will be based on what the Karnataka High Court says. The Chief Minister, Basuraj Bommai, has appealed for calm. He's asked all students to focus on their studies. It's the exact opposite of that that's playing out on the grounds right now in almost every single college campus in Karnataka, which is why the need of the hour perhaps is to get some clarity on exactly how things go in the Karnataka High Court and what it will mean on the ground. Because in places like Udupi, coastal Karnataka, which very often is extremely polarized and sees many such debates happen, the fact that it's permeated over and into college campuses is something that's extremely concerning.
Please stay on with me, Akshita, because remember, this is a pre-university college. Some of the students in some of these schools also are minor students, remember, and therefore it's a very sensitive situation at this point, and all eyes will be on the court today. Nolan Pinto is joining me, also Shrija from the ground. Quickly to you first, Nolan. What are you picking up from what the High Court is presently hearing the matter? What are the petitioners saying, and what are the observations coming in from the court?
Well, Pooja, in fact, before it started, Justice Krishna Dikshit made a very important point, and I just want to quote him. He says, we will go by reason, we will go by law, not by passion or emotions. We will go by what the Constitution says. Then Justice Dikshit goes on to state that the Constitution is the Bhagavad Gita for me. I have taken the oath to abide by the Constitution. Let's keep emotions aside. So initially, the petitioner's advocate requested the Advocate General, stating that there are still 2 more months, say about February and March, so until the exams begin. So let the students wear the headscarf, let it be a status quo, and then let's decide on this issue. But the Advocate General did not agree to that proposition. So thereafter, the bench, basically Justice Dikshit, said, let's actually get into the issues. Now, 3 main points over here. But before that, I have to say, Justice Dikshit actually complained over there, saying that he's being bombarded with WhatsApp messages. He said that every day, for the past few days, when he wakes up in the morning, he's bombarded with WhatsApp messages on this particular issue. And he's also very saddened to see that students are protesting like this, and it's become a big mess, especially internationally. He says the entire world is watching what's happening in Karnataka as of now. Let's focus on what the advocate for the petitioners stated. In fact, the petitioners looked into 3 issues, Pooja. They said that, one, that the wearing of headscarf is part of essential religious practice as prescribed by the Holy Quran. This is what the advocate for the petitioners has stated. The second proposition is that the right to wear a dress is a facet of the fundamental right of speech and expression under Articles 19(1)(a). So as of now, they are actually focusing on these 2 particular issues. They have actually, the judge, Justice Dikshit, requested for a Quran. They are going through all the orders. He's asked questions based on whether or not certain issues that are taken up in the Quran should be compulsory followed or not. So these are the issues which are being discussed as of now and debated.
Stay on with me, Nolan, and Akshata also joins us, but also Shrija is on the ground. Shrija, you're tracking the situation on the ground. What do you see around us? What is happening on the ground? Do tell us about the situation in the state of Karnataka and at the colleges right now.
Right now, all the colleges are, functioning normally. There is no problem at all. There was only problem erupted in Mahatma Gandhi Memorial College, which is in Udupi. But, after two classes or two periods, the classes were dismissed due to the violence occurred, due to the chow-chows occurred in the college campus. Students were very adamant on their points. So ultimately the management has taken the decision that we'll wait till the court give its verdict or will follow what is happening. Judiciary point of view. After that, any action will be taken. All the students were sent back home without any, somehow they managed to send all the students back home. However, there was the students were not at all ready for any kind of a compromise, because some of the students had practical examination in the morning. They were not allowed to enter the class or attend the exam. Which really got, the situation.
So examinations are already on. Yes. Shija, please stay on with me. Shija is on the ground and she's constantly tracking what's been happening. Akshata, first you, then I'll go across to Nolan as well. This appears to be now just not about one college. This has fanned, and therefore do you think at need of the hour would be the government to also at least intervene at some level? What is the Chief Minister saying? How is the Chief Minister trying to assure that the students need to focus on their examination rather than get into this situation at this point?
The Chief Minister so far has put out an appeal, Pooja. The government has been very adamant on exactly what their stand is on this. They've said very clearly that the uniform code must be maintained. Over the weekend, they'd also put out a government order on this front, which has been pasted on most of these college campuses to reiterate the message across to students. But Chief Minister Bommai, time and again speaking, has asked students and recently has appealed to them to maintain calm, saying don't resort to these kind of protests, focus on your studies. The reality on the ground, of course, is completely contrast to what the Chief Minister is appealing for, and that's why there have been questions about whether the government is doing enough here. Yes, they've reiterated their stand, but what's been done in the last 24 hours to kind of, address these issues, ensure that the differences that we're seeing on the ground, the protests, the counter-protests that we're seeing on the ground is immediately addressed. We've seen a lot of reactions that have come in from ministers. They're not shying away from speaking or stating exactly what they think on this particular issue. But the unfortunate reality is that their outreach to students hasn't really gone far.
Stay on with me, Akshata, because Nolan, you live in the state. You've been tracking all of this. There are clear political overtones that are visible here. How did students who were sitting together one day just about a month ago are suddenly trying to confront each other with a burqa and a saffron scarf, both sides not willing to relent while examinations are around the corner? How do you think the political outfits are there trying to get into this situation to make it much more communally polarizing?
Pooja, all this while the students were actually, like you rightly stated, were sitting together, studying together. They were all friends. But everything started in December when those 6 girls actually stated that they want to wear their hijab and enter the classroom. In fact, they stated that it's an infringement of their right. When the college authorities stopped them, they started to protest outside. Then we know what really happened. Now, once they started stating that we have to wear it is part of our religion, that is when students on the opposite side said that if you allow students wearing their hijab inside, then we will wear our saffron shawls. And that spread everywhere. Everyone knows what really happened. However, the main issue is this. Those students would have not done it on their own. The Home Minister, the ministers over here from various departments have clearly said it's not the students to be blamed over here. It is various organizations who are pushing these students, using them as pawns, pressurizing these students to do this. And because of that, because of the students allowing themselves to be used as such, today in Karnataka, various institutions, you have a clear divide of students wearing saffron shawls on one side, students are wearing the green shawl or a blue shawl and the hijab on the other side.
This is absolutely unnerving, and you know, these outfits, whichever outfits they are on both sides, trying to polarize students, use them as pawns for political gains. Akshita, Shija, Nolan continue to be with us. Akshita, the hearing is on. And before we go across to Nolan also for an update, so right now the hearing, if you can tell us more about it, and Nolan, you can also join in here. Is it primarily about what the religion is stating, and that hijab or burqa or covering specifically that, even if it's a part of a religion, has to be permitted uniform for the uniform in colleges, because otherwise uniform is irrespective and everyone has to look similar until and unless it is a part, an essential part of Islam, because that is when it will have some very different consequences.
That's right. What you're seeing right now is also the entire case now looking into what really the religion states, what the Quran states. But what I can also mention for you as the latest update that's coming in from the Karnataka High Court, Pooja, is that the advocate here who's representing the petitioner is citing earlier judgments, one of the Kerala High Courts also, in which they said that people must cover their head and wear long-sleeved dress. This was a Kerala High Court judgment with regards to earlier about punishment for not covering head and not wearing. This is for Islam, for Muslims. Besides that, another point that the petitioner has made is another judgment has been cited in support of petitioner prayers. All of this has been brought up. Besides that, the petitioner has also spoken about the CBSE notification, which said that if you're wearing a religious dress, then come 1 hour before to allow frisking, and petitioners did not oppose, saying it was fair. So they're saying that even the CBSE notification has agreed that many of the students come wearing religious dresses. So why is this suddenly a matter of contention and an issue now? One of the most basic points that the petitioners have been making here in the hearing, Pooja, is that there are just 2 more months to go for the academic year to end. They're saying let the students wear hijab till the end of this academic year and then we can figure it out. But to that point also, the state government has very categorically said no, that's not something we're going to consider. To just round up for you what the state government has said so far in the initial arguments in the court, they've said that they're not for the hijab or anything else being worn besides the uniform code, but they've also reiterated that autonomy lies completely with the college here, with the educational institution, to decide exactly what kind of a uniform will be prescribed. So that is another point that's been made very clearly by the state government.
All right, so I'll just quickly go across to Nolan. We have more news coming in. Nolan, what is happening in the court? Can you give us an update? Then I'll go across to Shija for a ground update. Nolan, over to you.
Well, in fact, the court is debating 4 main issues. This is for those who have just tuned in. 4 main issues is what the petitioner's advocate has focused on. Issue number 1, that the first submission is wearing of the hijab is an essential religious practice of Islam. This is what they are debating. The second proposition is that the right to wear a dress is a facet of the fundamental right of speech and expression. The threshold of public order is extremely high to restrict this right. That is point number 2. Then point number 3 that they're focusing on, Advocate Kamath says, this violates even Article 21 of the Supreme Court, that under the Puttaswamy judgment, that right to wear falls within privacy rights. And the last one, he says, in fact, the last proposition advanced by Advocate Kamath is that the state has no competence to issue the government order on dress code as per the Karnataka education rules. The government order is beyond the jurisdiction of the state. So as of now, they are actually debating on these 4 main issues.
Stay on with me, Nolan. I have some big breaking news coming in. Let's take a look. What's been happening in Karnataka? Situation appears to be going out of control. Some more news coming in now. Right, what we are picking up from our sources, Karnataka hijab burqa protest is now turning violent. Stone pelting is being reported in the Bagalkot area during the protest. The police personnel had to resort to mild Lathi charge after the stone pelting that was reported. So the situation clearly becoming a law and order concern now. The stone pelting is being seen as a big concern now in the hijab versus the saffron robe protest. Absolutely horrific scenes now coming in. This is not just about a group of girls now demanding to wear burqa inside the colleges, and which is different from the usual uniform, and a counter protest by the male students wearing a saffron scarf. This is becoming a law and order issue now. We're now being told by our reporters on the ground that the protest over this issue turned violent. Stone pelting was reported in Bagalkot area during the protest, and also resorting to Lathi charge that the police had to disperse the crowd. Nolan, are you picking up on some details on that? What is happening there in Karnataka?
Well, stone pelting incidents have been reported in Bagalkot and Shivamogga. Shivamogga, you had students who actually pelted stones. The police had to resort to mild Lathi charge because now police have to be very, very careful because this is a sensitive issue. But in Bagalkot, the police actually went about with a Lathi charge because these were not students over there who were pelting stones. These were members from a particular community who came over there, started pelting stones, started protesting, started jumping into compounds, and hence the police had no other option but to bring in to maintain law and order situation. They had to resort to Lathi charge, and that is what really happened over there in Bagalkot.
With me, Nolan, because at this point, remember, the situation is turning more serious. It's not just about the uniform issue anymore. Now, the Education Minister of Karnataka is now joining us. Over to you, Akshita Nandagopal, who will be speaking to the Karnataka Education Minister over this developing story. Akshita, take it over.
Thanks, Pooja. I'm cutting across live now to the Karnataka Education Minister. Mr. B.C. Nagesh is joining us on this broadcast. Sir, what's been playing out over the last few hours in Karnataka is extremely worrying because in many college campuses now, protests have broken out. You've got students turning up in hijab, some others in saffron shawls. What is the government doing to address this problem, reassure students and ensure that education of these students doesn't suffer?
Yeah, definitely what you are saying is right, madam. Unnecessary, some few miscreants have started disturbing the atmosphere. It was only an issue of one college in Udupi. Even as we know that there are 9 PU colleges in Udupi, it was a small incident of 6 girls who wanted to put their hijab and come to the classes. But according to the Karnataka Education Act and Rule 11, no student can come inside the school without uniform. So when the principals insisted that they should follow the rule of the school, they protested, and they were protesting only in Udupi. They protested, and our departmental staff and even the honorable MLA of that area tried to convince the students, and they were about to be convinced. And initially there were 10 to 12 students who wanted to put hijab, but immediately when our MLA convinced them, all students came to the classes with uniform prescribed by that college. But only 6 students were protesting. But in first week of February, when some political forces intervened in issue,
one side Akshita, one side Nagesh. Mr. Nagesh, who are these political elements you're referring to?
Yeah, it was, I heard that, and I read in some newspaper and some report that one CPI and PFI, which is the student organization of PFI, is involved in this. Initially they had been involved, but they found they were not successful. They were unable to convince the student. As I said, out of the 9 colleges, only 6 students of one college were demanding this, and all other colleges where hundreds of that particular community girls are studying, all followed the uniform and the discipline of the school.
So you're saying, sir, and this is a big charge you're leveling, that the PFI is involved. Is there going to be an investigation into that by your government?
No, I'm not charging PFI, but I heard that PFI is in the background of the whole thing, and we have asked our Home Minister to go into it. Definitely they will investigate and will find out who is the culprit and who want to destroy the total atmosphere of education, and also the atmosphere in Karnataka.
There are some pictures, sir, that India Today has also accessed from last year, from the same university, from the same PUC in Udupi. This was in Kundapur, where the entire controversy began. And in these pictures from last year, all students are seen in uniform. There's not a single student wearing hijab in any of the pictures. From last year to this year and now, what do you think has really changed that led to this protest now?
It is, again, according to me, there are some organization, Muslim organization, which doesn't want ladies to study. They doesn't want the girls to be well educated and become independent. So they tried their best to see that girls doesn't attend colleges. But when they failed, when students started coming to the colleges and being educated, they felt that there is such method has to be introduced so that the education of that particular girls will be disturbed and they will leave the colleges. So their ultimate purpose will be served.
Mr. Nagesh, also, you know, what's happening in the Karnataka High Court is that there's been a demand, which is that there's just 2 more months for the academic year to end. Why not allow the students to wear hijab and finish their education?
See, education is the institutions are not the place of worship. They have to follow the discipline first. Students, we should teach them the discipline, and the purpose of education is to create brotherhood among all the citizens of the country. They should feel that they are one. When we allow the practice of dharma in the schools, now they may ask the hijab will be allowed. Next they may ask us that we have to pray 5-day Quran, 5-day namaz in the school. Then they may ask that on Friday it has to be closed. Where we can stop all such things. So the uniform is not only for a Muslim student. Uniform is for all the Indians who want to be and who want to follow the discipline in the colleges. We as a government, we are bounded to rule according to the act and rule of the department. I have taken the oath that I will see that brotherhood and oneness among the students will be followed. Patriotism will be developed in the education institution. So I cannot disturb the main aim of the education.
Finally, sir, your message to opposition parties who've been saying that, you know, this government is targeting one religion and targeting Muslim students.
The whole country now knows which government were appeasing one community for which purpose. They did not give an equal right to many things. Still now, many field is not being given the in many fields the ladies are not being given the opportunity, whether it is a Muslim or thing. But after Modi, many such things have been coming up. So they are feared that the vote bank of their party, which were for years, may be broken, and they may think and vote according to their own consciousness in future.
Okay, Mr. Nagesh, thank you for taking the time out and speaking to us here on India Today. So you've got the Karnataka Education Minister there stating that there perhaps was a conspiracy that's involved in this entire case that's led to this situation where you're seeing all out protests, where you're seeing agitations playing out across the state of Karnataka. Pooja, I'm tossing this back across to you in the studio.
Thank you so much. Akshita Nandagopal asking quick, crisp questions from the Education Minister, how the situation is going to be resolved. He's alleging a conspiracy. He's stating that they look into it, but all of this, remember, is important while court hearing is underway, that the situation should not go out of control, and these are students who should be focusing on their exams, not really throwing these religious issues at each other at this